blaming everybody.
And blaming
That's
it, and each
behavior.
one that they share about, like, I'm gonna tell you about him, and I'm like, but what about you? And see, it's always about bringing it back to you, like, so what's up, Charles? What about you? And what step are you on? I'm on first step, but I gotta tell you what Smitty wouldn't do, and I'm gonna tell you what Rich didn't do, and you was like, but they're not responsible for your recovery. Like, you've been here long enough that you got to do what you got to do.
Self-righteous.
I didn't want to work in the field because I felt like I couldn't detach.
It's a tough thing.
Yeah, it would be tough for me to. And I seen some people who are struggling. And now you're talking about the mental health issues now. Now, 65% of the individuals that come in, these are from clinicians.
Yeah.
These are from psychologists. 65% of the individuals that come in treatment, inpatient, outpatient, are dual diagnosed now.
Because it's self-medicated.
Yeah,
Now, Chris, being
that's another issue. I wouldn't be able to.
Being that you was a counselor,
Yeah.
I want to ask you something. The success rate with the clients obviously is
Bleak.
very very low.
Yeah.
So the question I want to ask you is, have you ever personally felt that, damn, I didn't do my job, I didn't do good, I didn't, because the rate, the success rate is very low. Have you ever personally took it personal?
Of course. And that's what I was saying when Warren was talking about it. I'll honestly answer that question. I hope you don't mind me. I'm going to explain a little bit.
Yes, please.
Because everything is a process. Part of my internship was working mostly with adults, briefly with kids. And I always say, without God, there's chaos. I was given the option to work with the kids. That wasn't my primary decision because I'm an adult. I relate to adults. I could, you can hold them accountable.
Right.
And then my assistant director was like, you're a real asset to the facility. I want to hire you. There's no lines open with the adults. Would you mind being part of my team with the adolescents?
Right.
And she sat me down and she said, but I got to be honest with you. They have attention span of a mosquito. They're very disrespectful. And they're gonna run you. You know what I mean? Like if you let them, they're gonna run you because kids are brutally honest. And they have much more endurance than I do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
They don't have much of a filter.
Exactly.
No, and I got
So
children.
what I want to say about it, the kids helped me with that issue the most. They taught me the most about how to deal with my frustration, how to deal with feeling disappointed behind someone else's behavior, and coming to terms with the fact that it's not a punchline when I had to get to a point where I say, my willingness to help you has nothing to do with your desire to be helped, because majority of the client base in the counselor world is mandated by the courts, task or some drug treatment program. And so you don't have your bottom. You don't come to me with a level of acceptance that you're ready to surrender.
Right.
It's my job to encourage you to get there,
Or show you.
or plant seeds, or treat you in a manner in which that you're not accustomed to long enough that you hesitate and make a better decision for yourself. You see, like some of my kids, it was really just, the best I could do, and I'll give you a visual, is to be on the left and the right. You go too far to the left, I'm going to bump you to the right. You go too far to the right, I'm going to bump you to the left. And just because of that consistency, I could build a trust rapport with them. And whether or not they were ultimately successful, I can't say. But for the time that they were with me, I could lay my head and say, I did everything I could.
You're like a sheepdog.
Right.
Exactly.
I like that. I like
You
that.
were responsible for the input, not the output.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Well put, man. I like that.
But today,
I didn't, and I used to tell them, and forgive me, Smitty, but I would say, I'm not the guy that documents you killing yourself. See, I'm not the guy that goes, whatever, I've done everything that I can. As long as God put you in my path, well, then I had to go through and information and education is power. My experience in my internship, the education that I got to become a counselor, I took that very seriously. And
Those
so,
are tools.
Exactly.
To make you feel, like you said, make you feel uncomfortable, bring stuff up. When you see somebody, and if they don't want to talk about something, there's a good reason why.
Exactly. And use the environment, and use what you call psychodrama, and create scenarios to build trust. Like, I would stay at the facility sometimes, off the payroll, and sit with my kids. Just so they saw me there. I can't engage them because they're not there. They already told me to F myself earlier in the day, so I go, they're closed. But how do I reach that person? If I validate what they're doing, that was me as a kid. I won.
Right.
I tested you and you proved me right. All adults act the same. You don't really care. You just pretend. You're full of it, and you're a hypocrite, and you're a liar, and you don't really want to know me, so I'm not investing one moment of my time with you. But to just sit there and be outside while they're waiting for their bus to come or whatever, eventually it sends a message. You might not be talking, but my body language says that I'm here.
Right. Exactly.
I didn't go anywhere.
And that's what I experienced last week with my sons. They told me I am trying ways to be a little more creative on how to approach them without trying to force my ideas on what they should be trying to do to straighten up. I had to find a real straight, and I'm looking at two young men, and I showed up.
That's it.
I didn't say a lot.
Yeah.
And then once I got their attention, I was able to share some things with them. And they actually told me, because you showed up, we realized that you cared.
Sure.
And that now we're going to listen. And
They can give you validity,
then they told me exactly what they needed. That they needed certain things from me.
That's a gift right there.
That was it. And I had to take it like that, Smitty. I'm looking at them, which my sons are tall guys. And then I'm looking at them, and I'm like saying, and we started to talk, and we broke the ice by some joking manners. They made a comment, and I made a comment, and then we started. But then I showed up again the next night, without telling them. I just showed up. Like I may show up tonight. Just show up. I don't stay long. I just show up. I'm not forcing.
You want to be involved in their life.
I want to, and it's important that I didn't know they pay attention. He said, "Do you know how many guys' fathers don't come around?" Yeah, I said, I wouldn't. I said, excuse me, I wasn't trying to, come here and say, no, Dad, because you showed up. That told me and Rakim a lot. Warren Jr. and then Rakim. One's 20, going on 21, one's 24, and they said because I showed up, that it made a difference. Like me just popping up makes a difference. That something in me cares about their welfare, and that now I could talk about drugs and what it could do to you and lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? Lifestyle.
Yes.
And but it also has value because where you are, it's not coming from a mouthpiece who's still living the same life.
And that's what he said to me. He said, "Man, we see you keep it moving.
Yeah.
That you going everything that's thrown at you, you won't go back." And that's what I'm talking about earlier, watching me. You know what I'm saying, Rich? They watching me, and I'm like, I'm thinking they're not, but they are.
That's so big that you say that because my family is watching me too.
Exactly.
People in Slow Bomb, them little kids is watching me.
I see them. They come up to me. You know where I'm at all the time. I'm in that area.
Yeah.
They come up to me when they start saying "sir" to me. I'm talking about straight up little thug, little kids and people. The people that try to throw them away already, and they come up to you and they see you and they say "sir," excuse me, my bad. That's respect.
When I'm walking through Slow Bomb, they stop whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
And wait till I walk by, and then they start doing it again.
They watch.
Wow.
Really? I mean, it's unbelievable.
That's a huge show of respect.
Really,
if you know where you come from, that's
we're experiencing. He's saying that we're experiencing that because I'm in that area all the time. They look and they watch us.
Yeah.
And you got to understand, they don't see much of positive examples.
And let me say another thing. Some of them I used to buy crack from.
Yeah.
I used to buy. Let me tell you, man. And this is real serious, man. Like. One of them I bought a lot from, and one day he said, "Yo, can I borrow $1?" I said, "Here you go." He said, "Yo, thanks, man." And that made me feel proud because, I'm not that.
You were giving all your money to.
Yeah.
$1
Ask me. Yeah, I'm not. I'm not that person no more.
Wow.
Through this 12th step of my higher power, who I choose to call God Almighty, His grace and mercy. I'm not that person no more, man.
And they watch that, man. I'm a firm
You
guy.
know what's funny is when we were using it, we thought everybody was watching us because we were trying. Nobody really cared. And now we're doing the right thing.
Hey, Rich, when you're on the 20th floor and you think somebody's out there got the doctor.
They're repelling down
the insanity of like, right. They said they're watching, or they think they seen a shadow come across the doorway.
You got your 20 piece.
That's such a powerful.
That's so insane.
Like,
I know we talk about drinking and drugging, but the insanity being on the 12th floor with no fire escape, no one out there. They look and you look too. And you would actually go, look, I know no one's out there, but I'm going to
The only guy that was looking was maybe the guy that was smoking the same crap you were smoking on the other side of the. of the hallway. Listen, you know what? We're doing the right thing, and you're right. People are watching. Some people might be watching because they're waiting to see you fall. Some of the people are just watching because, you know,
They're curious.
and listen, we're doing what
They're
nobody else
curious.
is doing.
Yeah.
You know, especially and then, you know, in some neighborhood with Charles and stuff, and Warren as well. There's not, like I said, too many people positive.
You don't realize, John, how much you stand out. And I mean, Smitty, we're experiencing, I'm standing out to the point where I didn't realize that they really, you made a good point, man, that a lot of times they're the example. A lot of times there's not much that we need to say, that they're watching us and they're watching our action. And we're not doing what everybody else is doing.
That's because most of the time people before were telling them, listen, you need to put down the drugs, you need to do this. But what they were telling them and what they were doing was two different
things.
Right.
When we're there, you know, listen, you're telling them what you're doing. You're telling them the right thing. We can say goodbye. You don't need to listen.
Yo, Rich is leaving. We want to say
Take
goodbye.
care, Rich. He's sneaking out.
He got some. I'm going to ask him where he get his sneakers from because he got some really nice sneakers on.
Yo, my man Rich got something to say about Recovery Radio,
like
man.
that.
Come on, Rich.
I didn't want to interrupt and say goodbye, but I
should've
didn't
stayed
want to
in
go ahead
your
and just change the whole topic here. But I do have to leave, and I just want to say that like John was talking about, they're going to be redoing the studio here. So anybody who's interested on some updates of how we're you know what's going on, Recovery_radio on Twitter. John will shout out his information later. You can get in touch with through him, and we can figure out all these dates. And I just want to say I love all you guys. Thank you guys for having me up here
You
again.
too, Richie.
Yes, sir.
And,
That's right.
I'm looking forward to coming back up when this place.
As soon as I find out anything, I'll be letting you know.
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. And I got these in if I don't know if I'm allowed to talk names.
Come on, man. You gotta say it, 'cause I'm an Adidas lover. I love Adidas. Them are nice. Them are
Thank you.
comfortable.
These are it's funny because these are running sneakers,
Yeah.
and I don't
Do you
like
run?
walking. I'm like as lazy as they come. Right? These are the sneakers that got the little thing for the iPad, like so when you run, it tracks the thing.
Wow.
They're Nikes. I got them from some store in Eastchester or something.
I like them. I really do.
Thank
Them
you,
are nice.
thank you. I really appreciate it, and thanks a lot.
You guys take care.
Yo,
Bye,
remember,
Richard.
Twitter.com/Recovery Radio, man, for updates. We're closing for 2 weeks for
Exactly.
renovations. We're going to have the internet popping off, the website, all
That's
that.
right. Twitter,
Follow,
We're gonna be worldwide.
Facebook.
follow Twitter.com, Bible Kid. I'm always on. I'm a Twitter
And I'll
junkie,
have
so
a
I'll be on
Facebook.
there.
I'll have a Twitter account and a Facebook account
Yeah.
next time, and I'll.
That's right.
really?
You have it,
We're
Warren?
gonna get connected, man.
Yeah,
We're gonna get
I'm in the
connected.
dark ages. I'm getting ready.
I'm not ready to move out yet.
Yeah, I know.
Get out of the woods, man. Get out of the woods, Chris.
I'll hold on.
What I see today in recovery, a lot of people are coming in, and they got a severe case of the Yets. They got a bad case of the Yets. I haven't lost my job yet. I haven't gotten a DWI yet. My wife hasn't caught me cheating yet. She hasn't thrown me out yet. And Yet stands for you're eligible too.
That's
Right.
Wow.
That's good. I like that.
Y'all better write that.
Let me write this down.
I'm about to tweet
Yeah, I was
it.
gonna say
These
she's gonna
people are coming
tweet
in
it.
today.
I'm about to tweet it.
They're living in the problem, and all they do is tell you about the problem. And when you tell them the solution, they kind of don't want to hear it. You know.
No.
And you were talking about procrastination. And that's one of the 7 deadly sins. Sloth. The steps they say sloth is
Kaboom.
procrastination in 5 syllables.
Kaboom.
And
Wow.
there's
You know.
consequences.
Excuse
to
me.
it, you know?
Sloth means actually putting off.
Correct.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hold up. A sloth is one of the slowest animals in the world.
I
You know them big things that hang on to the tree that move
Yeah.
1 step per day.
Wow. I don't even. Wow, man. Now I'm really feeling bad.
Sloth.
Now you're gonna. I'm gonna look at
Well, look it up,
procrastination.
come on.
You're a sloth.
Oh Lord.
You better
Wow.
get to your silver
Wow,
electronic.
I got electronic dictionary
yes.
by Webster.
You have a furry hat?
Wow, that's, wow, that don't even make you feel good.
No,
B.
no.
You suffer from
I
it.
just made a connection too,
Sloth.
Warren.
I'm like, wow, sloth don't even sound
Sloth.
like
It
you're
don't even-
All right, I
sloth.
got one more address for us, and that's for anybody that's not doing the electronic thing, but just maybe somebody that's incarcerated across the highway and wants to send us something. We're at 75 Grasslands Road in Valhalla, New York, and the zip is 10595, and we're doing to WARY, and then put our Recovery Radio Show, and that's it. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, we talked about rehabs and stuff. We're the richest country in the world. we're going to war. We've been at war for the last 5-7 years. We're at war so long, we forget we're at war. But here we have a war right here at home with this drug addiction, you know? And now pharmacists, senators, judges, they're all getting a taste of what we went through with this hillbilly heroin.
Oh, yeah.
The Oxycontin.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
And now they're getting addicted to it, and they're checking into these rehabs
That's right.
2 and 3 times. But it's okay for them to do it.
That's
They
right.
got the money
They
to
got the
do
money,
it.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Down to the
And
funding.
they're not even looked down upon because they
Yeah.
went multiple
Yeah,
times.
and they keep it a big
Yeah.
secret. You know,
Yeah.
the Rush Limbaughs, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, all of them.
But again, I have to tell you, being a counselor is hard. Like you asked me before, Charles. You know what I mean? Like you get to that point, you have to use your support. That would be my suggestion to you. Use your support, use your supervision, make a lot of meetings.
Right.
Because I always say to anybody, a meeting is output. Life is input. You need your output. You gotta purge yourself. You gotta get whatever it is that's going on with you. But one of the hardest things to do. One of the reasons I resigned was the bureaucracy.
Wow.
I got in it to help people, and there's a level of acceptance. 85% of it is paperwork. 15% of it is actually talking with your clients.
I have a friend who told me that.
Yeah, it's
Mainly all he ever
terrible.
talked about
Heard
was his
about that.
paperwork.
And I was overwhelmed.
Thank you for sharing that
I
because
was
I thought he
overwhelmed.
was lying all the time. I said, "What do you mean? I
No,
got
I
to do
heard about
paperwork."
that.
He would bring it home.
Yeah.
It would
But
be
you're
so.
not supposed to, but yeah.
But he said
that
the
sucks.
workload, the
I don't
the
wanna
caseload
do that.
would be so heavy that he had to come home and take a day off just to do his paperwork.
It's a thankless job. You're like really on the front lines, and it's
Wow.
like being a teacher. You have so much power to influence young minds and lives, and it's considered to be so small of a priority.
Wow.
And it's not. It's really not, because that's the future. If we don't help them now, and that's what was my biggest motivator when I became an adolescent counselor, when I
Right.
had this realization, these guys are young.
Right.
They're
Wow.
influential. If they could get their stuff
They
right
can help
now,
so much people.
Right now.
as
Wow.
opposed to having
Correct.
doing damage control with
20
adults,
years, yep,
there's true
yep.
inspiration in the
Wow,
young
man, you
people.
don't say it's serious because
Yo,
I'm
he's dropped.
experiencing.
It's getting heavy.
Look, like these self-help groups, right?
Yeah.
And you see these places, I see outpatient places that I may go, and I know people that have been in them, and I go there, and now the people that are on meds now, they can't even. And I'm getting ready. This is only my opinion, and when I share this is not maybe the opinion of the people or that are sitting in the studio with me, but this is my opinion, that I feel as though because some of them are so heavily medicated that they never can address the addiction part, the drug addiction, the alcoholism, that they can't address it because they don't really thoroughly address the mental illness first. And I see adults. I'm talking about you. I see adults that I know personally that are suffering and are on such heavy meds that they can't address the addiction, the drug addiction part of abusing drugs and alcohol, John. And it saddens me because they sit there and they're like, I'm on meds. And I'm like, I didn't know. And then I was telling somebody, Warren, how do you know that they're sick? I said, because you could tell either they're not taking their medication properly and they're off. So they said, how do you know that? I'm like, I've been around them. And I know that, so it's not my business to tell their business.
Right.
You know, and so
It's true, though.
And it's not my, and so when I see them in places, I'm able to see it, oh, they're not right today, and I'm able to just hug them and keep it moving. Sometimes they just need to be left alone. Sometimes they don't need to be left alone. They need support. And they need to love them. But people, oh, they're crazy. They use terms like, oh, she's crazy today.
Don't touch her. Don't
she's,
go near her.
Yeah, and I'm saying, no, she's sick. And they was like, why do you say that? I said, because it's true. She's suffering from an illness, mental illness.
Do you think she wants to think that everybody's after
You
her?
think that she
No.
wants to have these episodes, or he wants these episodes, and you're wondering why
They wanna
they
live a
can't
normal
sit
life.
still in certain places, or they say things, or they have outbursts, and because they're ill, and some of them are so heavily medicated that a lot of them struggle with dealing with the drug abuse and the alcoholism.
It's a parallel too, because I can say when as a clinician, I have to defer. I'm part of a clinical team, and when we would do an intake assessment or something, there would be background history, there's documentation, there's a psychosocial, there's an initial assessment, there's a psychiatric evaluation, and it goes the other way too. That if an individual is not treating the mental health part,